Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network and Talking Ball with Steveospeak. We will be doing some puppy drafts with Underdog releasing that today and talk about that and everything else going on. For those who did watch earlier, this is going to be a more somber show with as I lick my wounds from the Jeopardy show not going my way. But if you haven't watched, it was still fun. It was still entertaining. Definitely not my best work, but I hope everyone enjoys it. Looking forward for the rest of the tournament, and I will redeem myself for next year. Let me hit up chat real quick. Let some people jump in, get in from Twitter as well. Yeah, Mike Robb, after the horrible backstabbing I heard today, we can confirm that Bernie will be handling the 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. shift for the 24-hour live stream. The fix was in. Can't trust a Bears fan. Justice for Steve. The fix was in. Can't trust a Bears fan. So I appreciate the support. Appreciate the support, Mike. And Tim, yes, the rematch between Neil and Pete is going to be pretty epic. So looking forward to when we can get that scheduled. Very exciting. Let me tweet out the show as we're about to start. Hope everyone's having a good night. Hope everyone is enjoying the fact that Underdog did release the Puppy 2. So we got that going for us. I'm sure more and more tournaments are on the way. If you're playing other things, they released college football 2 days ago, yesterday. No, 2 days ago. Sorry, my days are running. And then they released basketball, NBA today. So should be plenty of fun. And definitely looking forward to, I'm definitely going to do college football. I might do some NBA. I've done a little NBA in the past, had a little success with it. Nothing major, but got to the semifinals 2 years ago in two, but wasn't able to pull either one through to the finals. So we will see what we can do going forward. And sorry, just want to tweet this out. And so, yeah, I'm not sure how much NBA I'll do. I would definitely do some college football, but I do want to research that more first. But very excited that the Puppy 2 is out. And I do think more contests just have to be around the corner. The second version of a number of other things. We still haven't had some fan favorites like the Dalmatian, the Chow Chow. That was much later last year. So I think we could see those as well. And yeah, we will get into drafts in just 1 minute. So how does everyone feel about the Puppy 2 being out and the new Underdog overlay, I should say, or background? The background's definitely taking some getting used to, but sure, there's a reason they did it. And we'll hit up chat real quick, and then we'll jump into the show. Make sure you like this episode. If you're coming in from Twitter, jump in just to give us a like. We really appreciate it. So Tim saying can't wait for the 24-hour live stream. Yeah, that will be fun. We need to get to 1,000 subs first, but really looking forward to it. Tim and Steven need some more questions on the Substack for the member show. That's something we're going to do. Questions from our Substack members, answer those, get a show out for everyone. We want to support you for supporting us. Tim saying, I wish I was good at NBA DFS. That'd be fun if I had any clue what I was doing. NBA is different, and they also changed it because they have. I actually haven't. I haven't looked at this year's version, but the last 2 years they've done a regular season and a postseason or a different prize pool. So I'm not sure what they did for this year. I will say the college football is very good advance rates, 3 of 12 from the start, and then like 1 of 5, 1 of 6, something like that. Tim, yeah, get your questions in. We absolutely appreciate that. Meg mentioned that as well. We got our guy Chad Candles in here. He was on with Two Hames earlier. I caught the first of their drafts earlier when they did a BBM. I think they did a puppy after that. But you can also always follow Chad Candles with his morning streams pretty much every day during the week. So, if you're up early, especially on the East Coast, so I get if you're West Coast, that can be pretty early. But I think he typically goes live around 8:30 a.m. And does, 1 or 2 drafts. So always a lot of fun in the mornings to follow on with Chad's streams. So Drake May donated all his wedding gifts to local shelter. Guy has positive vibes and good karma coming his way. He's going to be a stud. Yeah, and I know you're a Patriots fan, so you got to have a lot to look forward to, Tim. Puppy 2, great. New super dark background and wonky font, not good. Yeah, it's definitely going to take some getting used to. I'm surprised they did it mid-summer. Like, if you feel like a change needs to be made, and I don't mind necessarily the 20-second change. I honestly wish for the BBM they would have kept the 30-second, but for everything else, make it 20-second. That's my take. We got our guy JT Bestwell in here. He's the opposite of Chad. He's the night streamer. He does a lot of late night streams on his channel. I think he might be having Who Hames tonight on his channel, so check it out there. Disbanded with the dot. Thank you so much for coming in. Hope you're doing well, Disbanded. Always good seeing you. We got Mike Robb. Thank you so much for the super chat. Puppy on me. You're still the king. I appreciate that, Mike. I will. That means a lot. It was a rough performance by me, and I am very disappointed in myself. Let's see. We got Miles Westfield in chat. Yo, nice seeing you, Miles. Not sure if you've been with us before, but if not, thank you for jumping in. Be sure to like this episode, subscribe. We will be drafting puppies in a couple seconds. And then Eddie, I thought you meant he was opposite of a Chad. Yeah, no, I mean, I think JT and Chad are both good guys. So, but they're in opposite time frames. Chad's the morning guy. JT's, there's multiple night streamers, but JT's usually one of the latest ones out there. So always good to follow along with JT stuff, and of course Chad in the morning. So we will be jumping into our first puppy 2. I did some slows already, primarily, so that's why I'm down 5. But so it's now just a 20-second clock. But this launched at noon or maybe 12:30, and it's 6.5% full. Obviously, it could slow down some if they start releasing some things, the Poodle 2 and Hound Dog 2 and those kind of other contests. But really does show that Underdog is very popular and people like it. We've already had, it's going to have 15,000 entries well before tonight ends. And let's add to that now. So I'm going to count it down. I'm sure it's going to be tough with just the 20-second option and everything. So maybe when I count to about 6, try and jump in. Hopefully there's no location errors on my part. But let's get this party started. I'm going to count down starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And we are started. And did it snap fill? Yeah, it snap filled. So sorry. Oh, we did get Chad in here. So at least somebody got in here. We got Mike Robb. We got Tim D. Okay, we got some nice friends. Op Luke is familiar. Not sure if he's in the chat. So if anyone else is in here, please let us know. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me tonight, and we will be ripping some drafts. Let me hit up chat as we wait for the draft to start. It's cool. I was saying incorrect answers with you. Appreciate Steve. Cheers to you too. Cheers to you. Well, appreciate Disbanded. I should say cheers to you too. Hopefully get some more Superflex puppy. I definitely think we're getting more Superflex. Whether I imagine they drop another Superflex puppy since, yes, this is off to an incredible start. 7% in the first day, but the Superflex puppy filled in like 37 days. That's pretty good when you consider. So we got Paul in the chat. Hey. We have Jason Calhoun in the chat. Evening all. Good seeing you guys. We'll be doing some more of these if we get enough likes. So, we do have Legion in here. Sorry, I missed you. So we do have Paul in here. All right. So I'm on the clock. I've just been pulling up Jefferson lately because I noticed, one, this is where he's going, and I'm just way behind on him right now. So I'll start with him. I generally prefer the running backs there. I think Bijan and Barkley both project better. And I think you can make a case Lamb over Jefferson, but right now I was under like 6% Jefferson, like when the Chihuahua came out. So I want to catch up some. Mike is the money right here on the clock right now. The money 888. So that's Mike. Let me go. And this is my first time streaming on a new thing. Interesting. Doesn't even go to the full edge here. What is even going on here? We will have to learn as we go, folks. Yes, Mike is awesome. Mike's been with us for a long time. In another, but had to get in this. Good luck. Well, glad to see you multi-tabling. Appreciate it, Chad. We got our guy, Candyman Chris, Fantasy Football Garage. What up, Steve? Appreciate you coming in. I will not be, in the next round to hunt guys like you and Cody and Huhames and everyone else in Ball Jeopardy. So sorry we can't meet up. I appreciate that though, but always appreciate you jumping in chat. Always love another late night great streamer. Candyman's going most nights as well, and usually 2-3 hour streams. Really fun streams. He'll get on guests. He does his Ballsy show with Bindles on Mondays, and they always have a guest. So another good streamer. You got a fun draft group going, feeling quick. Yep, Puppy 2 season. Yeah, we got our guy B Granny. Appreciate you jumping in. Steve can smash the puppy after the Jeopardy loss. Sorry, it's over. Everyone's over. No, thank you, Justin, so much for hosting. It was a lot of fun, even though it didn't go my way. We got FK Coolers. I will make my pick and get back to chat, and still getting used to this new layout. Let's see here. I'm going to take Higgins. I'm not going to give Chad the 1-2 Chase Higgins punch. Also, just Jefferson Higgins is pretty nice start. I always feel like. Didn't think I kind of figured Chad would go Tyreek. He is a Dolphins fan, so that was a little predictable. I'm going to go Rashee Rice. 3 wide receiver start. Kind of atypical for me. I'm doing a little bit more this last week, but yeah, I think it can definitely work. I do obviously want to catch up at running back, but I could have pulled up Jacobs or gotten Jacobs there, but I'm fine with starting 3 wide receivers like that. Rooney coming in after that backstabbing is rich. Neil is in his bag. Listen does it. Yeah, no, Neil really had and we both started off really weak, and then Neil just got a run. I don't love Rice, and Bucky's is a bring back to Miami. No, that all makes sense. JT, no, of course, thank you, JT. And I was on JT's show a couple weeks ago. I'm sure we're going to be doing more streams together. And I've been on Candyman show as well. I do need to get. We had Chad Candles on, friends with Best Ball, but I need to get him on sometime soon now that I'm streaming. Chad and I actually know each other in real life, so that's fun as well. And we will definitely set that up soon. So let me get back to the board as we go here. Nothing too crazy happening so far. I'd say we are seeing McBride more fall to the clear third round. I mean, I got him in some of these like Chihuahuas and the Dachshund, like in the low 30s, like 30 through 32. I'm definitely interested in him there. Yeah, no, Neil is, he gets joked about with his age, but yeah, he's an OG DFS player. So he's been in these streets forever, and a really good guy, really great guy. Yeah, we will have to set it up, Chad. Gilbert Arenas burner at the 11th spot. Oh, let me see. I've not paying attention. Oh, yeah, the first round Lamar Allen. It's the same buy. I actually did that once. I think I was in JT's stream one time, and I took Allen or Lamar, and I had the other one still in my queue, and I thought I had taken them out, and I was multi-tabling, and I think this was maybe when the German Shepherd was out, and I end up looking back, and it's like, oh shit, I got both of them. So I got a third quarterback, but it was all good. But it wasn't 1-2; it was 3-4. We will start with George Kittle because he has not been falling back much lately, so I will happily take that. And we'll see what's there after Chad picks. Going for the big Waddle Tyreek stack. Takes Hampton. I figured he would. I will go. I'm going to go Hubbard. I just don't want to get too far behind at running back. I like these receivers. I think you can make a strong case for Devonta, Pickens, Hunter. Pickens a little less just because I already have 2 week 10 buys, and having 3 of my top 4 receivers on the same buy. I don't want to miss out on this pod just because I have a terrible week 10 score. I feel like I'm building a pretty good team here. Yeah. Who did you get at 1-2? I started with Jefferson. Let me go back to the board. So I have Jefferson, Higgins, Rashee Rice, George Kittle, and Chuba Hubbard. Paul's on the clock now. Just took Jaden Daniels and Zay Flowers with his last 2 picks. These draft rooms have been a bit nutty so far. Yeah, I mean, like mostly what I've done so far is slows, so I haven't really gotten a good feel, but I'm not surprised. It's been a while for the puppy. And I will say I thought things were getting kind of crazy in the Chihuahua with some things that was happening. Yeah, you'll be down bad if you lose out onto be a chain drafter or somebody is planning on backstacking with the Waller NWI. I hope nobody thinks it's collusion, but I will tell Chad I will not be the one taken to unless like my power goes out and it auto picks for me. Yeah. Yeah, no, that obviously the Jonnu news had him hit both him and Prime Youth fall, and then some of the Dolphins players go up, but there hasn't been a lot of big news lately. Damn, I missed a value draft. Nice start. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm sure. I was not that I'm looking for any sympathy, but I'll say streaming in 20 seconds is definitely harder, especially with guests. I had my first guest on yesterday with Big Love talking about Draft or Pass. Really fun product. We had great conversation. He's a really good guy. He's another guy who, big data guy, and just he's a great guy to talk to though. And I know he was on with Sean Mitchell today. I only caught a small bit of it, but he's doing streams all week. He'll be on with Hartman on Friday, I know, and can't remember what his other shows are on this week. And I'll take the Harvey fall. So I do think there's some value that came back here. I mean, I don't really draft Debo much without Jaden, but he's past ADP. I think he's worth it. I like these other running backs. I like Pearsall, and I already have Kittle. I think I'm going to go, as much as I could use another running back, I think I'm going to go Ricky. I want more of him. The news has gotten bleaker on Ayuk. When camp opens and that becomes even more clear, I think Ricky and Jennings will go up even more. I want some of both, but I just want more Ricky. One, he's going later. Two, I just think he is the replacement for Debo. He's such a good route runner, good hands. He looked good, and especially if you grade on a curve last year for being shot and missing so much time, I think there's just a lot of upside and potential for him. Yeah, not as bad right now, but yeah, it's not been great weather. Second guess was Pearsall. Yeah, so this is let's right now I'm at 0.241. I definitely debated a little bit whether to take, because I'm high on Caleb Johnson. I know some people believe that Jalen Warren's going to be the guy with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just not sure I buy that. I think the Steelers have a plan for Caleb Johnson. It's to have the Najee role, and I think he could just have more touchdowns. People forget, Russ and Fields combined for like 600 rushing yards, 550, 600 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, I think. So I'd have to double check and look, but they combined for a lot that I don't think Rodgers is going to do. So that's just more yards, more touchdowns available to the backs, and I think Caleb's getting the most carries, so that's just going to benefit him the most, particularly in the red zone. We got our guy Gamblestein in here. Hello, how's it going? Just had 10 slows pop up. Yeah, I'm definitely a lot of slows I need to catch up on. But I did them, I caught up pretty much right before Jeopardy, so luckily I have some time. So Mike pulls up or takes Travis Etienne, and I'm a little bit more bullish on Etienne than I know others are. I think he probably ends up I was asked a question, I think it was yesterday, who I think the Jags running back one is week 1 and week 17. I think the clear answer week 1 is Travis Etienne. Week 17 is more murky, but I think he's still the most likely. All right. Kind of was hoping Mahomes would come back to me. I'm going to take Higgins. No, I'm going to take Mason first. I don't know if Chad would take him, but he does the Nick Ingram stack. I like that stack a lot. That's a good stack to get, especially if you've had any Chiefs. If not, no biggie, or if you already have Sutton. I like some other quarterbacks a bit more. I'm gonna take Purdy when I have Pearsall and Kittle. That to me is a pretty easy call there. Yeah, and I think Aaron does target his running backs a decent amount. We saw that with Aaron Jones. We saw that with Breece Hall. I think Warren will be fine, but Caleb might not get it. Like last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers passing targets to running backs were basically split down the middle. Now Warren played 2 less games, but it was basically split down the middle between Harris and Warren. I think it could lean a little bit more Harris or Warren than Caleb, but I don't think Caleb's getting just 10 targets. Like he might get 35 and Harris, or sorry, I keep saying Harris, Warren might get 60. You know, somewhere at 65, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's kind of how I see it. And I just think Caleb gets way more of the carry, 250-ish carries and all the red zone work. So I like Warren some, but I don't think he's got big upside. I think he's a guy who can, like, honestly, very similar. Austin Eckler, you get about 50 picks later. If Justice Hill is the same role that he did a year ago, same sort of thing. Like, he'll get used in 2-minute drill. He'll get used in games when they're down, stuff like that. A few snaps here or there, and he'll have usable weeks, but I just don't think he's a week in, week out type guy. Bryson Thielen preheating. Yeah, I'm high on both of those guys, Bruni. I'm right there with you. It surprised me in the Carolina question that Thielen was not the ADP number there. So coming right back up with this quick 20-second clock. Let's see where we go. All right, I will take Burden here. I think he's kind of fallen enough, and I've always been extremely high in him pre-draft, right after the draft. I know he's like missed camp and everything, but Justin Herzig, his was it FF and 60 or whatever it is, extremely great product. Absolutely should follow it. Should subscribe. Get emailed right to you. And he talks about, like, Burden. We're making a bet here. It's an upside play. This guy's a talent. If we're in early July, like, if he's back healthy, he could be just an absolute smash. Don't entirely love this range. I'll go Ramondre here. Just, I have 5 receivers. I spent a good bit of capital on them. I got an elite tight end. I like some of the tight ends there. I'd stop at 2, but I could stop at 2 if I wait and get, the Gesicki types, the Ertz, those types of guys as well. Got back to Chad. Devin, Mike Chin. Hello, Stephen friends. Well, Devin, nice seeing you as well. Are you in this draft? If so, please let us know. But no, thank you so much for joining us, and appreciate you jumping in and saying hi. And do as the thing says, talking ball with Steveospeak. If you have any questions on players or any takes you want to shout out, I'm happy to talk about, happy to discuss things as we're drafting here. So this is our first draft. Hopefully, if we get enough legs, do a second, maybe even a third, as we get it started with these puppies, the puppy too. Yeah, I debated making a bourbon tonight, Mike. And I'm, back in the day in my college days, I would definitely make my own specialty drinks as well. So, and they would be called Stevo drinks. So it's funny you say that, but no, I probably could have used a good bourbon tonight. And in hindsight, I'm just down bad on the night. We got our guy Who Hames in. Mentioned Who Hames earlier. He had Chad Candles on earlier, and I believe he's on with JT Best Ball like in half an hour. But always enjoy talking ball with Who Hames and his chat when he comes in mine. Just such a great guy who he's got the research, he's got the spreadsheets, And we have some different opinions, but we're a lot of things in the same camp, including our love for Cam Scattaboo. But no, Huhames is great, and always enjoy seeing him in chat and talking ball with him. Let's see where we are at here. These 20-second clocks are coming quick. Man. I'm going to pull up Tillman. I don't like anything right here. It's just a total dead zone. Bryce Young got taken right out from under me. This is not my night, guys. Mims Tootin. Kincaid fall. Yeah, let me just do that. I usually only like doing Kincaid in 3 tight end builds. I was hoping to keep this 2 tight end build. I still probably will. But yeah, this is an interesting draft so far. Let me catch up a bit. Mike already hit the like count. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate that. And Huhames agreeing with that. So appreciate all you guys for the support. We got Jim Waller in here. Hey, all. Good to see you, Jim. I know Jim took down a couple years ago. Was it the Hound Dog or one of those contests a couple years ago? So if you see him in the lobbies, you definitely got a sharp one in there. Let me go back up to this as we wait. Sadly, I'm not in. We drafted a few drafters, so nice. D3 Ball 03. Yeah, nice. Well, appreciate you jumping in and hopefully chatting best ball. You're the best ball winner. You got to let someone win something like Jeopardy. Well, I've not won a tournament yet. I always had a close finish last year with 4th in the big board, and a lot of other finals appearances. But yeah, I'm hoping for to win one this year for sure. Tim saying, "Who crew stand up?" Absolutely. Feels like we both inch closer, and the players are different though. Yeah, no, I think we've talked, and I think both because we, have our takes and opinions and can back it up with some info. I think we've definitely, like you said, inched people together, and it's a thing. Like, I'm not necessarily looking to change anyone's mind. I present my case for players or takes or teams. I get not everyone's going to agree. Like Cody talks about, like, we're not here to change each other's minds, and I agree. Like I'm not out here to totally reshape your mind. No, but I want to give another take that maybe you're not hearing, or view things from a different side, because I do think there's plenty of sides out there, and sometimes we get take lock on like certain things, like, oh, this offensive line is bad, or this team is bad, or this player is terrible, or whatever. This player only works in slot, or X, Y, and Z. So yeah, haven't watched and played enough for my own takes, but learning. Definitely have guys that like. Nice. We appreciate jumping in here, and yeah, if anything you want to talk about, absolutely. 2 got taken from me. This draft is cursed. Quarterbacks have been wild in this draft. I mean, it's been tough with me talking, but I noticed that where like, what is going on? At least you got Nixon, May. I mean, I'm sitting here with just Brock Purdy, and like every other quarterback's pretty much done. So this has been a wild one for sure. I mean, I don't have any stacks set up now. And no, I don't consider Joe Flacco a stack. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to just push it. I'm going to take Pat Bryant here. He falls a little past what his ADP has been rising to, so I'll happily take him. It's a bring back to Rashee Rice. Just another good offense. Something that I can bank on. I'm generally higher on like Adam Thielen there, but I didn't get the Bryce Young quarterback. So yeah, things are looking rough here. We'll take Matt Stafford. It's not fun to try and backstack a guy like Stafford, but I feel like we just need to do something at this point. What is your most drafted stack, Steve? I would have to look to be 100% sure, but I will say my highest quarterback's May, and Diggs is one of my top 10 receivers, so I'm pretty sure it's that. Pitbull, that's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, Jim is definitely in these streets and a very sharp drafter. Appreciate the stream. Good luck. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Steve, you want to share the money if you earn net positive? Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. I just would love to win one, get those golden, those horns and all that. But definitely not complaining. I had a great year last year, a lot of fun, great sweats. Yep, 100% agree with who Hames here. Present your reasons and listen to others. It's okay to admit sometimes, not that you're wrong, but like, oh, then maybe I didn't think things totally through. Like at first I was totally out on like ETN, but I've really come around on him to an extent of at least being willing to take some shots on him, because I worry that Tank Bigby's lack of passing work could make him really tough for a Liam Cohen offense. So that's one that, I've definitely changed a little bit on. You mean you aren't trying to, I just bought 4 polo shorts on Prime Day. Well, those are the subliminal messages. But I appreciate that, Mike. Drafting and driving, $5. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Drafting and driving. I always appreciate seeing you in chat. Thank you again for the super chat. Always appreciate the support from everyone. I say it every time. Like, this community is amazing with, the stuff on social media like Twitter, the support here on YouTube with liking and commenting after the episode helps. That's something I need to be better at, just because I know it helps the algorithm. But thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate everyone. Love Drafting Driving. Solid name. Brock Purdue, nickname from Trent Williams, Glock Purdy. Nice. I didn't know that Trent gave him that nickname. Let's see here. Up in a couple picks. There's always Zach Wilson. Yeah. Chad, Paul has the answer here. There's always Zach Wilson. You could take Wilson and Waller last 2 picks. I'm going to make my sister change her name legally to Meg. All right, let's see what I have coming up here. I'm not looking forward to it. I will take a third stack quarterback. Or, well, actually, he's unstacked right now. Don't want to leave no mysteries, but if Chad doesn't take Freiermuth, I'm going to take Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth should be drafted in 18 and 20 round drafts. I think, as I said before, until they add another wide receiver, and the beat writers don't believe they're going to, they are, Freiermuth could be a top, 20 tight end. The Falcons 2 years ago, with much worse quarterback play under Arthur Smith, both Pitts and Jonnu were top 20 tight ends in points per game and total points. They threw 17 passing touchdowns that year. Aaron Rodgers last year threw 28. With the Jets, I easily could see him coming close to repeating that again. And there's easily paths where Freiermuth outproduces Jonnu just simply from a touchdown equity standpoint. Like, well, I know Jonnu had 8 touchdowns last year. Freiermuth has historically been the bigger red zone weapon, touchdown weapon. So, there's just a way, even if Jonnu has more targets, where Freiermuth ends up with more total points. That's in third stack. Yeah, no, Chad, I that's why I went with the Rodgers first. Obviously, he was higher ADP, but I knew we were both kind of desperate for quarterbacks. Yeah, and maybe that's a bit of me wish cashing. Jim, he's saying I appreciate the Freiermuth bull case for Freiermuth. I'm saying at 18% pre-trade. Yeah, both pre-draft and pre-trade, I had a good share of Freiermuth because I thought all along, particularly after the Pickens trade, this guy is going to be number 2 or number 3 in this offense, and I think he still could be number 3. That year, Jonnu with the Falcons was number 4 in targets because Bijan had 90 targets as well. But it's very similar. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Jonnu, that was their passing offense, and Bijan out of the backfield. Could be very similar to the Steelers with a much better quarterback. I don't care what you think of Aaron Rodgers. He's better than Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. I think that is unquestionable. And I just think throwing the ball more and more touchdowns. So that's the big thing. But yeah, we need the touchdowns to go his way. And interesting. Look, I'm taking plenty of DK, but it's not like DK is just. It's not like he's Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers guy who just dominates in the red zone. So Freiermuth and Jonnu, I still want pieces of both of them at their current ADPs. I think in a format like, say, weekly winners, they definitely take a hit because I think they could have a lot of both getting one getting 12 points and one getting 10 points in a given week, stuff like that. But overall, I want a decent share on them. So this draft, by no means my favorite, but I will take Rashard Smith. I need a 5th running back. I have, some Chiefs, Broncos there already. Don't have a week 10 bye week at running back, so that just works for me. I have no illusions. I didn't end up backstacking Stafford. At one point I thought I would take Atwell, but I need the running back more. 3rd tight end, could have gone either way there. Yeah, not my favorite. We will take a quick look, but since I want to do other drafts, I'm not going to spend too long on these picks. Chad, who was the last pick you had, so I don't have to refresh? Yeah, he was the best value. Fun but stressful draft. Have a great rest of the stream night. Appreciate Chad. Thanks for joining in. So yeah, he got quarterbacks early with Nix and May, and then he took the Shuck Juwan combo. His 3 tight end build, I assume, went running back with the last pick, is my guess. Maybe not, maybe receiver. But yeah, no, I think he had a very good draft. I mean, Chase, Hill, Waddle, you do want to in that situation, but I get it. We got our guy Tim. Wrong thing. Tim, looking at him real quick. Hurts, Burrow, Mayfield. So 3, 6, 7, 2. Very strong quarterback room. He didn't allow Burrow to come back to either Chad or I. But you know what? I mean, sometimes you do that, and he's playing to have an elite quarterback score. Gibbs, JT, Mixon, Roshan, Justice Hill, Monangai. So 2 of the 3 Chicago backs. I think that's a fair play, especially the 2 at lower value, because probably one of them is going to have fantasy relevance. So 3 clear starters, kind of a good chunk of the Chicago backfield, potentially a solid piece in the Baltimore backfield. Receiver Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Shakir, Shaheed, Hollywood, Betch, Thielen, and then Goddard, Theo Johnson. Tight end room is thin, but Theo is one of my favorite guys late. It sounds like he should be back from the injury. Another guy who Justin Herzig wrote up on. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. Stopping at 2 there can be a little thin, but at tight end is your least important scoring position. So if you're gonna, not that you punted it, but if you're gonna go weak somewhere, that's the place to go weak. You should dominate the running back room, pretty dominant in the quarterback room. I know some people would question that much exposure, but you're going to be strong. Receiver, you'll be behind, but you're probably only looking for 3 receivers most weeks with Adams, Diggs, kind of locked in as 1-2, and then kind of these other guys mixing in for one spot most weeks. I mean, there's a clear path there. We got our guy Mike Robb, 2.673 field stack. So only 2 quarterbacks, but very strong 2 quarterbacks. Yeah, we know the Fields rushing upside. We know Dak, when healthy, can be a top 5 quarterback. CMC, Monty, Travis Etienne, Ray Davis, Austin Eckler, Blake Corum. Really love that running back room. London, Eckler is somebody I talk about a lot. I've one of the highest exposures to him. In 12 games last year, it's 700 plus rushing, or 700 plus total yards, 4 touchdowns, 35 catches. I just think he's very undervalued. London, Garrett Wilson, so stack there. Pickens, another stack. DJ Moore, Downs. Io Manner's not my favorite guy, but I get trying to take a shot on the Titans' number 2 receiver, or number 3 receiver. And then Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is a guy who should be drafted, definitely in the 18th round mix. Not sure if he should go in every draft, but I think he's a fine player. He gets Ferguson, Gesicki, then tacks on Mason Taylor. 2 of them stacked. Gesicki, just such a high upside play. Strong across the board. Nothing, no major hole. I mean, it's one of those things, even if I'm not a fan of Io Manner, like, the team is built well enough where if he duds out, like, no, you're not going to have a major issue. Paul here, 2.772. Jaden Trevor Lawrence. I'm very bullish on Lawrence, and of course love Jaden. So I'm feeling even less good about my quarterback room right now. Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, Trey Benson, Tyler Algier, Miles Sanders. So, for 3 starters, and Jones, Mason are kind of a split role, but Dobbins can kind of be a split role also. And then, you have upside plays with, if Sanders gets a larger role, Algier is one of the better, number 2 backs. And of course, Benson, a lot of contingent value. So it's going to be a very strong running back room to go along with the receiver room of Puka, Brian Thomas, Zay, Chris Godwin, Jaden Higgins, Josh Palmer, De'Ami Brown. No holes there. And then, of course, Njoku and Ertz. Njoku, I have plenty of worries about the Cleveland offense as a whole, but you got him well past ADP, and that's a range I much more prefer to get him at. And I love Ertz, and you also got him past ADP, so really good value there. And of course, Ertz with the stack. Strong team. And I know Paul was a guy who, I don't think Opluke was in here. If he was, please let me know. And I know Paul was a guy with his takes. Like, I saw him on, I think it was Candyman's show, where we talked about guys that he's fading. There are some big names, but if you have takes, go for it. Let me see. I'm going to catch up with chat, and then we'll get into the next one. Jacory Krosky Merritt. I saw you had a little JCM pilled. We got our guy Tyler in here in chat. Him and Spread do the DK show. We also do a betting show with Tyler during the season. Appreciate you joining. How's it going, Tyler? Tim, I'm just so confident Burrow's going to just dominate NFL records this year. Cincy's D is terrible. Yeah, no, I mean, I think of all the quarterbacks who threw 40 touchdowns last year, Burrow's the safest bet to do it again. He did it last year with Higgins missing a considerable amount of time. The last time he was a top 5 quarterback a couple years ago, Chase missed a considerable amount of time. Burrow is as good as it gets. Typically, I still like to backstack him with Gesicki, and I don't know if you tried, and I think it was Paul sniped him or whatever the case may have been, but I still want him with Gesicki because I actually think stacking with Gesicki can be a fair enough thing, particularly if Gesicki gets the touchdowns this year. Gesicki had essentially the same catches, yards as Zach Ertz, just only 2 touchdowns. Next year, if he gets 7 touchdowns, he's a top 10 tight end. Can't believe they got rid of their D coordinator. Yeah, I mean, he's considered a good defense coordinator, but I think they just felt like they needed a change. naked Burrow Mayfield. Guess we'll see how it plays out. And, this is the thing I've talked about before. 2 years ago, the BBM3, BBM4 winner, 2 of his 3 quarterbacks were unstacked with pass catchers. 2 was stacked with Raheem Mostert. CJ Stroud was completely unstacked, and then Jordan Love was just stacked with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. And Jaden Reed, of course, being the operative one there. So that can still work. Like, for people who say it's totally dead, like, it's not. And it definitely helps you bully this room, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your goal, to bully this room and then hope you just get the right run, that works. You got to advance to even have a shot at the finals. I think Hurts could even throw more this year, maybe a little bit. I mean, their defense lost more this year. It's still going to be very good, but they did lose a couple key pieces. Sitting the next one out, missed all your good nuggets with the quickness of the draft. Well, I appreciate you joining the draft, Mike. Love the 49ers stack. Purdy will have one of the best bounce backs this year. Great late round. Appreciate Smith. Well, thank you, Tim. I'm very bullish on Purdy and the 49ers in general this year. Yeah, we do some betting shows during the year. And so we're not sure what our schedules will be, but Meg, Tyler, and I did one last year, and we hit a couple winners early on. Didn't end as well as we hoped, but we'll hope to run it back this year and go on a better run. Who's the least likely to do it again with the touchdowns? With the 40 touchdowns? I know, the Baker news today of Tristan Wirfs isn't great, but I will say Lamar, just simply from the point of they're probably going to throw the least. So Lamar's touchdown rate was insane. And, that's incredible. And he's a great quarterback, but I think it's just going to be tough for him to maintain that. Like, I think he's way more likely to throw 30 touchdowns, which would still be extremely good at his rate, versus 40. And of course, the thing with Lamar is he could make it up, or if he has a couple more rushing touchdowns or just some more rushing yards, he can still, like, his points might not actually change that much, but his actual passing touchdowns could. I'm set at running back. None of these guys stack. Should I take it? Receiver: Debo, Diggs, Shakir, Downs, Mooney. My favorite there is Diggs. I just think he's the highest upside, but I'm pretty big on Downs and Mooney as well. All right, let's jump into the next puppy. We'll count it down. And let's see. So yeah, we're at 7% filled. Filled, like, in that time, and I know, there's time with chat and everything, but it was like 14-7 when I entered the last one. It's now 16, almost 16-2 or 16-1. So yeah, this thing's flying. All right, I will count it down starting now. Maybe try to jump in around the 6 mark. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, so this was pretty fresh. Hopefully you guys are jumping in, but it's filled. Like, I was like the first or second one in here, and it is filled. Let's see who we got. We got B Grandy in here. We got Paul back in here. Legion. We got UCF Jaguar. We got Eddie Incredible. We got Jason Calhoun here on Riverette. We got Opluke again. So, you guys, if like Opluke and UCF Jaguar are in the chat, jump on in, say hi. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are enjoying the puppy launch. I'm guessing you are, since you're in these. Yeah. Let's see. Hartman. Yeah, insane. First puppy didn't have New York until the end, though. No, that's absolutely part of it. And even the first 10 days, the schedule wasn't out. So I think that slowed some people down. But yeah, the first puppy took about like 26 days, I think. This one, I'm sure, is going to take a lot less. Now, it also depends, because that's one thing. And don't get me wrong. Yes, the Superflex is going to feel slower than the regular puppy. That's unquestionable. But during the first puppy, The only other contest that was out was the Schnauzer, which was 20 max. And Hartman brings an excellent point about the New York thing. But during the Superflex puppy, that was launched with the Hound Dog, the pug. We got, to say nothing of the multi-single entries, but we got the Poodle, the Chihuahua right as that closed, the German Shepherd, the Mini Schnauzer too. We got a lot of things going on at the same time as the Superflex puppy. And we saw that when one of those contests that would only be open for 4 days, like the German Shepherd, we'd see the Superflex puppy shrink in their fill rate. So that if they want this puppy to last a little longer, they should start pumping out some other, poodles and things like that where people just know I got 4 or 5 days max to get these in. So I'm in the 7th spot here, coming up on the clock. Didn't get anyone to fall from the top 6. I think I will take CMC. Probably have less Puka, but I'm going to go CMC here. Yeah, Eddie, good luck to all. Appreciate it. I think I was early, but only 2 red badges in my room, so no complaints. Well, hopefully your pre-flow goes really well. Let us know how it goes, FK. UCF Jaguar, good seeing you. Appreciate it. Good luck to you in this draft as well. This is going to be a tough one. Me, player takes? No. I fell for the Miami signing rumor today. Was quite happy to hear him replace the John role. Yeah. Yeah, no, I would love. I mean, one, at this point, I'm hoping Keenan doesn't retire. Even if he goes and he's the wide receiver 4 somewhere and can get me 2 usable weeks, it can pay off, where I'm taking him now in the 17th round. Yeah, I'd love for him to get a good landing spot. So just fingers crossed he's not retiring. Let's see here. Oh, Tyreek with the big pull up here. And I love Lad, but I need more AJ Brown also. I do think, Lad, I know it's crazy because we've seen Brown's upside in years past, but because of the volume of that offense, I think Lad actually is the higher upside this year. And just as he gets better, I mean, he looks so good as a rookie down the stretch. And in that playoff game against the Texans, just absolutely shredded, one of the best passing defenses in the league. So, yeah, I'm generally going to take Lad more, but here I went with AJ Brown. Let me pull up the board again. So anything else? Henry in the first, Eddie going double running back, gonna get his guys, get 2 elite potential running backs. And you don't always see a lot of times a change at this turn here now. So that's also a way to get a unique start. And I think that's always a smart thing to do in these bigger field tournaments, especially I don't necessarily want a unique start in Hound Dog when I have 5 entries. I want a unique start in this where, there's going to be, whether you are or not, it doesn't matter if you're only doing 10 entries or even if you're only doing 5 entries. Your unique start could matter more because there's people doing 150 entries. So let's see, coming up in 2, it's been a interesting room. We got Josh Jacobs, and he's fallen more to the 3rd, which I will scoop him up most times there for sure. UFC on the clock. He takes Devontae Adams. I'm going to take Terry. I'm still not worried about any sort of trade. I'm not worried about any sort of holdout. Right now, it's not affecting my rankings at 1 iota. I'm going to be looking back and wishing I got more DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen. Yeah, I mean, I take Hopkins. I mean, I'm not going to be like crazy over the field on Hopkins, but I think he's fine in the late rounds. I mean, Zay's been banged up. The tight ends, particularly Andrews, has been banged up. Rashard Bateman has a long injury history. So there's just opportunity for him to take a bigger role in one of the best offenses in the league. And even if nobody gets injured, he'll probably have enough usable weeks to pay off, is the way I look at it. Did not get the Jaden Daniels fallback. Really was hoping for that. That hurts. I'm higher on James Cook. I don't think, again, another situation where there's going to be any holdout. I think he's slightly being hit on that. I know people say like, oh, his touchdowns, that's not been his game in the past, and he had like 4 40-yard touchdowns or something crazy like that. You say it's not predictive, but it's also like that is his game. That is his skill set. I think he's an explosive player, and he actually saw, I believe, fewer targets last year, and so that could balance back for him. So I think he's an integral part of the Bills' offense, especially in a team that doesn't have like elite alpha wide receivers or an elite tight end. James Cook is their best offensive weapon, not named Josh Allen. So I have a hard time believing that he's not going to be heavily involved in, again, one of the best offenses in the league. I'm going to set up a draft or pass account and vote against any team I think is Neil's to send a message. I appreciate you, Mike. Got Harrison Evans past ADP. I'll take it. No, that's nice. Definitely was debating Harrison there. The Bills have the highest points over under going into the season. So yeah, exactly. Like that's my point. Like if Allen's healthy, this is a top 5 offense. It's just that simple. And I think he's the best part of that offense. And unless something crazy happens, he doesn't have a lot of leverage to hold out. Like he can take pictures off Instagram and whatever the hell else, but he doesn't have a lot of leverage. Yeah, I just don't take Zay without Lamar. So I'm going to take Ridley here. Yeah, nothing totally jumped out. I mean, I like all these running backs and other receivers, but I don't mind taking Ridley. I want more of him. I think his situation just got so much better. We'll see if Callahan can get it going with at least average quarterback playing a much better offensive line. He only averaged like 50% snap. That worries me so high up. So, I mean, that part is true. He did miss about a game and a half. So I think that's part of it. I also think some of it was some of the blowouts that they had. Also where, they took him out, and I believe that includes week 18 where, Josh Allen had the first drive and then they just benched him the rest of the game. I believe they did the same with Cook, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I'd want to look at it a bit more, like looking at like close games, things like that, like what his snaps percentage was in those, because that's where his points were scored. And to that point, like if Bills are in more closer games, does he even get more work? That's kind of what I'd wonder. I do want to look into that more, but yeah, he only had like 200 plus carries. He definitely had the least amount of carries, but kind of so did Jahmyr Gibbs. He in many ways he's like the poor man's version of Gibbs, just doesn't have kind of the guaranteed passing work that Gibbs does. So coming up here, I'm pretty happy with any of these guys up top. I mean, Odunze would be a bring back to McCaffrey. I have Cook and A.J. Brown as bring back, but obviously won't have their quarterback. Yeah, I'll go Odunze. I'm more bullish on Odunze. I know people want to knock him, but 700 plus yards as a rookie in a bad offense isn't terrible. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. And there's just a path for him to be wide receiver 1 there. Well, thank you, Tim. I don't know if I'd love it so far. I was really hoping for the Jaden fall. But yeah, I think it's looking good. There's definitely a lot of upside. I mean, if McCaffrey and Cook are at their best, there's a ton of upside here. And of course, A.J. Brown, McLaurin, we need McLaurin to have a repeat of last year. We need Ridley to just kind of do what we've been betting on Ridley for a while. No pun intended with Ridley's betting issues. Let's see what comes back to me. Board is falling, but I still don't necessarily love taking them there. Check O. Pollard could make a team bet. Diggs. Typically take Shakir past ADP. I like Golden, but UFC takes a good pick there. Takes Golden. I'm gonna go Diggs. I think this sets me up. I mean, I could just stop at 6 receivers, but probably what this means is I'm stopping at receiver for a couple rounds, 5 guys in top 80, all different buys at that. That feels really, really strong. Now I can go back to running back, get some quarterbacks, tight ends, so catch up everywhere else. So let's see. Eddie takes Baker as his first quarterback to go with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So it gets a double stack there. Jason, did he take Allen? No, but he takes Khalil Shakir. A little fall there. I think Shakir is a fine pick. It's just I like him more, when he falls into this range, like back of the round to the start of the 8th. Allen went early, 29, to the Saquon, and which is something I've done sometimes, doing Saquon and Allen to get that week 17 correlation. Luke taking Mooney and Pollard. I think those are good, solid picks there. For sure. Eddie gets his other stack, Kyler. So stacks up 2 of his top receiver. Well, he's got both of the Bucks, but his top receivers with double stacking there, double tapping in the 7th, 8th round. So I don't have Chiefs, so Mahomes is not really in play. I don't have a ton of Brian Robinson Jr. Slightly past ADP. I'll take a shot. I already have some team bet here in McLaurin. I do think the Washington's offense is going to be, top 10 at least. So having pieces of it is not a bad thing. I just worry about Brian Robinson's upside. What are you buying for Prime Day? Not sure. I actually might get a computer upgrade. Need to look at it tomorrow. Haven't had the time to pay attention today and yesterday. Probably a few other little things as well. Love McCaffrey. He's just ultimate football player. Can do it all. Yeah, 100% agree. I wanted this stack. Glad I got it here. Trying to catch up at wide receiver. And at times, I know you pulled up Baker, but you wanted to make sure you had the double stack. It was worth it to pull up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So Grandy double taps running back at the turn here. Mason Warren with Monty and Bucky. So that's now a pretty strong running back room. Hopefully Niners have a lot of close games and shootouts this year, and McCaffrey's catching a bunch of balls. Excuse me. Yeah, I think while the 49ers have an easy schedule, their defense is also taking a bit of a hit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're in some more closer games. I think, and you ask, I think their defense takes a big step back. Now, I don't think it's like, Cincinnati Bengals bad, but I think it's not what it was a couple years ago. So we are going to, there's a few quarterback stacks I could get. I'll take Caleb. I like Fields a little bit more, and maybe Caleb would have come back to me, but I'll take the shot on Caleb. Let's see here. Gain different, yeah. No, I think it's good to mix things up. Like I said, I don't have a ton of AJ Brown in a vacuum. I'm taking Ladd over AJ Brown pretty much, most times. But this time I decided I'm going to go AJ Brown. Have a bit more fun on these cheaper contests. And yeah, I kind of feel the same. I know, and again, this being such a large field, the smaller field ones, I don't want to get too crazy on. The Chihuahua, is one thing at 70,000 entries, and you have 25 entries if you maxed it. But something like the puppy, and I'm not advocating to pull up a guy 6 rounds, but be a little different. Find a build that you like. It can be the winner. Be unique, be different. It can absolutely pay off. Sometimes we worry too much about closing line value. The guy who won last year, BBM, took rookie Pearsall at probably his high, one of his highest values. Didn't matter end of the day, because that's, he was one of the guys you wanted week 17, and didn't matter what round you were taking him. If the team got there, the team got there. Let's see. So I'm going to take May. I like Andrews. I like some of the running backs there, but I'm going to take May. Get a good second quarterback to pair with Caleb. Already have him stacked. And I feel really good about my top 3 rooms. Running back needs a bit of help, just because I'm less bullish on Brian Robinson. But yeah, we'll catch up at tight end, and I feel very strong about quarterback and receiver. Ricky is goated, so it makes some sense. Hartman, I can't remember if you are bullish on Pearsall or not. I know it's like some people are totally in or totally out on him. I'm totally in for sure. I still see the case for Juwan Jennings, but I want a lot of Pearsall, especially with the Ayuk situation. And even if Ayuk was 100% healthy, I'd still be taking Pearsall. I'd assume that he'd be going a little later, but yeah, I'd be still in on Pearsall, because I think he fills in a lot of what Debo did. So coming up in 3, Luther Burden just went. That would have been an option. Have a few things I can do. We will go Tyler Warren. I think Warren is a good tight end one. Love the Daniel Jones situation for him, and I just think we know that the offensive environment is very positive. Warren was a first round pick. There's ways that he could be utilized in some runs and trick plays and just some other slight edges he could get. And even if he is just a 600 yard, 60 catch, 600 yard tight end, that's fine. Like again, touchdowns will determine the difference whether he's tight end 7 or tight end 17. But if he's in that range, I feel totally fine. Let's see what I would be answering this as I make this pick. What's the latest you're waiting for your tight end 1? So I will say, with the Steelers situation, a lot of times I double tap like 2 tight ends in that Strange, Ertz, Freiermuth, Gesicki, Henry range. I try and get 2 of them. Now Freiermuth's fallen, so it's a little tougher. I'm going to take Ray. I don't know about the handcuff. I will go Hollywood. I still am bullish enough. Get my 6th receiver. Allow me to wait a little bit. Now I can really wait. There are times where I handcuff, but when I paid that high of a price, I generally don't like handcuffing unless it's like super late. But I do love Ray Davis. So yeah, like I would try and like double tap 2 of those 5 tight ends in like this, 14th, 15th, 16th round range. I still am fine waiting to that to be my first one. If I get 2 of them, great. 2 of the remaining ones, I kind of do feel like there are some tiers here. Because I'm just like totally out on Kyle Pitts. I don't mind like Otten or Mason Taylor as a second, but I definitely want a third in those situations. I'm not taking a lot of Schultz. So, if I'm taking like an Ertz, Otten, and Theo Johnson, I think that's a reasonable tight end room. But I a lot of times will take my first tight end kind of more in that likely Goddard Ferguson range when I'm waiting. Obviously, when I go earlier, Kraft is another one I start with a lot of times, or of course the top end, higher end guys. And in a lot of those situations with the higher end guys, I'm only doing 2. But let's go back. We will go Jake Ferguson here. Could stop at just 2 tight ends. Likely will tack on a third. But Ferguson, bring back to the Washington build out. Just another good offense. Nice veteran. Another guy who just didn't get the touchdowns to break his way last year. And of course, with Dak coming back, that should only improve his odds as well. Pearsall chart trend. Yeah, no, he is, and I think it's fair. Nice. I thought you might be Hartman. Yeah, I want to have a good exposure to Pearsall. Kirk or Njoku seem lit. I do want to get more Christian Kirk. I took him a lot early in the pre-draft. I took him some at the start of this. Then I've been kind of, just not taking him of late. I thought Justin Herzig brought up a good point that he could just be like the slot guy who just has a veteran breakout. He's falling, so we should probably be buying again. So I do want to start buying the dip and taking them. I do think the Texans offense is going to be a lot better this year. While I think it mainly runs through Nico and Higgins, Kirk has been good when healthy. It's kind of unquestionable. see where we're at here. Running back. I'm going to go, I don't mind Wright. I'm going to go Roschon. I have a Chicago build-out going. I think there's a path for Roschon to be a poor man's version of David Montgomery. So I want a decent exposure to him. Which offense without a quarterback is better? Yeah, ADP is the social construct. I do agree with that, and that's why, like I have my rankings. I still sort and consider by ADP because even though like Jalen McMillan, I'm just out on. Like perfect example here. I'm just not taking Jalen McMillan. I'm not taking the fourth receiver. I don't care how good your offense is in a situation where the receivers are pretty set in stone. Like we know what Mike Evans is. We know what Godwin is. We know what Mbuka kind of is as a rookie. It's just so tough for me to take Jalen McMillan anywhere in this range. I think he should be an 18th round guy. Like, why is Jalen McMillan going higher than Adonai Mitchell? And the Colts wide receiver room is for sure more fluid than the Buccaneers. It just doesn't make sense to me. But why I think he's an 18th round guy, if I think I've taken McMillan like once or twice, and he fell to like 185. So if he's falling 20 picks, a round and a half, 2 rounds past ADP, even if my rank is still not there, I'll take him because I know that's the only chance I'm going to get him. But yeah, I'm not going to take him anywhere near ADP or above ADP. And Wan'Dale in the same sort of thing. Like if Wan'Dale falls to 190, I'll take him. But I'm not taking him up even here at 175. And same with DeMar. I'm just not loving these wide receivers. I do think I want a third tight end here. Also could use a running back. I'm going to take Ertz. I know I don't have the Daniel stack. I'm just making a big bet on the Washington offense. 3 key pieces. For me, it's about having as good of a starting offense as possible. Like the amount of yards and touchdowns that team can produce. I'm good. Mike Rob, 36 likes people. We need to get to 50 so you can do another draft. I appreciate that. We'll see how I feel after this. I might be doing another draft regardless because I really appreciate the chat. I'm enjoying it. Definitely helps me lick my wounds from the Jeopardy loss. So I'm really appreciating you guys. So thank you guys so much. I love the Henry plus Taylor as 2-3. Yeah. No, their tight end value is so, and that's why it's so tough for me to take early tight ends, or even, especially honestly, even some more of the mid-round tight ends, because at least the early tight ends have the upside to be a top 5 tight end. But some of these mid-round tight ends, and Njoku being one, as much as I love Njoku, his offensive situation is just terrible, where it's like Mike Gesicki will have similar targets, similar yards, catches, and his offense, his quarterback plays as good as gets. Zach Ertz, kind of similar thing. Hunter Henry should be a major upgrade with Drake May. I honestly feel like, and then we're talking about the rounds of difference. I mean, Strange is going 35, 40 spots past Njoku. Why is Strange not a better option? Former 2nd round pick, Trevor, he's attached to Trevor Lawrence, Lovely and Cohen, a lot of potential and upside. Doesn't mean I went 0 Njoku. No, absolutely not. But it's just so tough to take some of those mid-round guys. I'll go Will Shipley here. I know there's some debate out there, but I do think he is going to be the clear number 2 Eagles back. And I think anything happens to Saquon, he's just giving you massive upside. If this was a battle royale contest or a DFS contest and Saquon missed a game, I don't care the matchup. We're taking Will Shipley as a top 10 running back, probably top 5 in some cases. And just with that offensive line, that offensive system, his skill set. I mean, he can contribute out of the passing game. He's absolutely an explosive player. So yeah, I'm very bullish on him. And while Gainwell had like 2 10-point games last year, Shipley could double that this year. It would not be hard to carve out a slightly bigger role, particularly in some blowouts, particularly, just course of the season, saving Saquon slightly. Shipley could have 4 or 5 just with this offensive production. So I'll be up, and then I will go back to the board. Sorry, I haven't been on the board as much. Let's take a look at quarterback. I don't have any stacks. I'm going to take 2-2 here. I think clearly he's the number 3 for the Rams. I still deciding, is this going to be a 2 or 3 quarterback build? But there's not a lot left, so it might very well just be a 2 quarterback build. Hey, we got Reflect the Sun in here. Appreciate you coming in. Hey, Steve, speaking of tight ends, which do you prefer late between Theo Johnson in a bring back, Arroyo in a stack, or Frymuth unstacked? Asking for a friend. So to me, a lot does depend on your other tight ends. I think all of them make sense. Arroyo is the riskiest, but he has probably the highest upside. But we just don't know if Noah Fant's gone. They have that AJ Barner who they like. But I'm taking some Arroyo, but it's and I do know you said there's a stack there, but do you feel good enough if Arroyo just ends up being a total dud? Because that is a risk. The other 2 I don't think will have. Like Theo might not outproduce his tight end role by much, but I think he'll be a starting tight end this year. And I think Frymuth, can outproduce his role. Again, maybe not by much, but he honestly could be a top 20 tight end. So I think Frymuth has the highest upside. I mean, Theo could be kind of in between, or Frymuth has the, or I should say the safest floor. I think Theo is second on that list, but Arroyo has the highest upside. And so it just depends, like, can you risk it or not, is how I would boil it down. If I'm just taking those without any more info, I'd probably say Theo Johnson, just because I think he's kind of the combo of floor and ceiling in that mix. And with safety, like, again, he is going to be, in my book, pretty fine. So, I mean, Shuck is a quarterback. I don't have any Giants. I don't have any Saints. Nope. I took Frymuth. So I took a 4 tight end build. Absolutely did not intend that. This is the downside of the 20-second clock. That is my bad. So I guess my answer should be Frymuth, since I've taken him down 2 straight drafts. I'm a Pats fan, but I want Henry and Douglas on every single team I have May on. I mean, I definitely want Henry on May teams. I'm not taking a lot of Douglas. Now, if we were talking a full point PPR system, I think Douglas could be fine. But I just worry when you have Diggs, when you're adding Kyle Williams, even some stats are going to go to like the Matt Collins, maybe Polk and Keishon Butte taking enough snaps. A slot receiver, a small slot receiver, it's tough to hit value. I've taken him a couple times, but it's just not my favorite click. DQ105, hey all, how's it going? Appreciate you joining us. Tim, loving the stream, great stuff, great analysis, helps me out a lot. Appreciate that. I'll get my Bowers and McBride and DK where they can separate more. I agree with that. Like, tight ends like that who could hit 100-yard bonus, tight ends like that who could just eat catches, like Bowers could have 100 catches. That's a realistic thing, obviously. McBride not far behind. Jim saying we're on a similar page with tight ends. Yeah. Kittle's the one of the elites that I really take. Outside of that, not taking a lot of elites. Let me catch up with chat as this draft finalize, and I will run another one. This has been fun. Love talking to you guys. Appreciate all the support. Bowers is my elite in this build. Going 2 tight ends. Thanks for the input. Gotcha. Ended my draft with a small giant stack. Not mad at all. Payoff, I don't know. 4 tight ends win tournaments. Yeah, we'll see. This will be extremely funny if this team wins. Definitely don't do 4 tight ends when I take Tyler Warren. Like, in fact, there was a drafter pass that I saw today where it was like 4 tight ends. And I don't necessarily hate 4 tight ends, but it was like, I don't think it was Tyler Warren, but it was like 2 guys in the middle and then 2 guys late. And I was like, I'm not going to take 4 tight ends. I'm taking 2 guys in the middle. So I voted against it. Yeah, if they voted for tight end premium, looking good. Proceed with caution with Patriots outside Stevenson, Henry, Henderson, Diggs, Williams. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm stopping at the Patriots. Like, I'll take a little pop, Douglas. I'm not taking any Bourne. I'm not taking the Hollins or Polk. I just think all those guys get in the mix. No idea who's making team getting cut outside of that. Drake May naked is the move. Yeah, no, I mean, I take him a lot with Diggs, and I think Henry's a fine stack with him because I don't think Henry's role changes much. And obviously Josh McDaniels has prioritized tight end quite a bit in his past. And I still want some Kyle Williams. He was a high upside 3rd round guy, could be a spike week guy. Maybe not early in the season, but late in the year, I could see him kind of really taking over. So we will jump into the 3rd draft. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Always love drafting with everyone. Enjoying talking ball. We will get into the 3rd draft to keep this train going. Another puppy. Let's see where we're at now. It is 17,000, 17 and a quarter. Yeah, this thing is going to be filling. I mean, it could be, again, depends kind of what else they drop. And I do hope they drop other tournaments, but 2-3 weeks tops is what this is feeling. All right. I will count it down. Let me get a drink first. I'll count it down, try and jump in around the 6 mark. That seems to be the best option. Good luck to everyone, and let's rip another draft. And we will be jumping in this in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, looks like this snap filled. It might have been the last one in. Hopefully, Sonny got in here with me. Looks like you did. I see FK in here. I see Losimo. Okay, those are the ones I see. So sorry for anyone else trying to jump in. If anyone else is in here, feel free to join in chat, say hi, and I will go back to chat. So what is everyone? Eddie and the overflow. Sorry about that, Eddie. Good luck to you as well. So what do you think? Like, even if they release a couple tournaments, 3 weeks max on this puppy, that's what it seems like. I mean, we could get, within 24 hours by tomorrow at noon Eastern time. I think this is going to be 15% or 12%. That's pretty big. All right, this one's getting started. I got the 5th spot. See what I want to do. Goes Bijan 1. That's interesting. So rarely see Chase at the 2. Jefferson goes 3. Barkley's here at the 5. I will take it. I'm happy for the Barkley fall. I get that they're, the whole no running back is, finish RB1 in back-to-back years and giving off all this usage. I get the arguments, but Barkley's situation hasn't changed at all. Still an elite offensive line, an elite offense. He's still an incredible weapon. Long term, like if he has another usage year like this, maybe it shortens his career, but it's tough for me to bet against. And we see it with another veteran guy like Derrick Henry, who goes to the Ravens, same sort of thing. Like, I don't care about his age. Situation is just so tremendous. I mean, 12 touchdowns are these guys' minimum, it feels like. So if they're healthy. So, I mean, and they can go for 20 touchdowns. Saquon can go, or either could go for 2,000 yards. I mean, these are well within their wheelhouses with the current offenses that they're in. All right. Let me catch up. Losimo, yep. I saw you in here. How's it going, Losimo? Yeah, I think it'll fill by the end of July. No, I think so too. I think 3 weeks. And look, if they start launching Hound Dog 2, German Shepherd 2, all the second versions, and Mini Schnauzer 3, then maybe it slows down slightly. But I think end of July for sure. Context matters. Is this about Barkley? 2 weeks and drop the puppy 3 to coincide with training camp. Last year, I know there was a difference last year. I think the puppy 2 was in mid to late June, and the puppy 3 is right around. We went on a family, like a family reunion beach trip, and I think it was that week that the puppy slow and fast coincided. They dropped at the same time, and then the puppy 3 was, I believe, in August, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I wonder if next will be like the slow and fast puppy kind of at the same time, maybe at the very end of July, and then still getting the puppy 3 in August. So 5 regular puppies like last year. Had they wanted, they probably could have done 6 or 7. Not sure their total reasoning not to, but let's pull up. I've done a race more recently. Let me pull up Hill here. I mean, truly, I love Jonathan Taylor with this pick, but I should be taking more Rice and Hill. And even sometimes I like pulling up Higgins there. I think Higgins-Barkley is a fun combo. Higgins was wide receiver 2 in points per game last year. Like, despite playing with Chase, his upside is as high as basically anyone. Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like, even if Barkley gets cut back, and I don't think he's going to be a total bust. I mean, injury is always a factor, but even if he's not a top 3 RB, where I took him as RB2 in this draft, he still might be the guy you need. Let's say Jonathan Taylor's RB1, in which case I should have just taken him. But let's say Jonathan Taylor's RB1, but Barkley's RB4. Well, then you still probably want Barkley in the first round. Like, the chances are RB4 is going to outscore probably maybe everyone but wide receiver 1, maybe wide receiver 2 in terms of total points. And it's, of course, not just about total points, but just the way I look at it. Let's see. We had some interesting pull-ups. You know what? I talked about it. I will do the Josh Allen, get him and Barkley for that correlation. And I like the Josh Jacobs slide there, but I feel like he's sliding more there. So, and yeah, if Barkley, so much is going to be touchdown based, and also we know historically Barkley's a good receiving back. They didn't utilize it last year too often. Maybe that gets utilized more. I got Barkley at 5, and I got Barkley at 4. So your last couple drafts. Oh, you got Barkley at 4. I see what you said. Are you sticking with MVS, or are you including Horton on Darnold teams? Thanks. No, I appreciate that. I think I've taken Horton one time so far. MVS is still like my Arroyo or my late round Darnold targets. I just think they have much better paths to success, and they also are like vertical deep threats. Horton did that a little bit at Colorado State. We also missed a lot of time this past year at Colorado State. I think he's healthy, but I just wonder how ready he'll be. He's a day 3 prospect. Well, good receiver, don't get me wrong. I just think it could take him a little bit to get going. If camp reports are better and more bullish on him. I'll sprinkle him in more and more. But right now, I'm sticking to MVS and Arroyo is late round Darnold targets. But good question. Appreciate that. I also grabbed Tyreek. There you go. We're building a similar team. So no, I love those kind of questions, especially whether you know my take on it already or not, like Drafting and Driving did. Feel free to ask me those types of questions. Always appreciate that. That's what these streams are for. I will start doing more and more guests maybe later this week or next week. Me start lining some people up. But I just enjoy talking best ball, talking ball, and drafting with you guys. So I'm up in 1. We'll see what FK does here. He takes Daniels. Not that I was going to take him. I mean, the Hurts would be fun, but no, I'm not doing that. I will go George Kittle. I just, yeah. It's the one elite tight end I feel I want to be well over the field on. And between, I think, the 49ers pass the ball more this year, I think their offense just takes a bigger step, with Purdy and healthier weapons. And I do worry about their defense. So I don't usually do this, the 1-1-1-1, but it is an interesting concept when you have something like this. Not saying it's likely. I mean, this is like hitting a crazy 4-leg parlay, but I have an outcome of having the number 1 quarterback, number 1 running back, number 1 receiver. I mean, we've seen Tyreek do that before, and number 1 tight end. That is that likely? No, but it's definitely possible or plausible. And if so, I think I'd win quite a bit of money with that. So interesting combo to do at times. All right, coming back up. Not really feeling. I'm going to pull up Alvin Kamara. I'm higher on him. I'm also mad I missed a question on him during Jeopardy a couple hours ago. But no, he's a guy that I really, really like. He finished 10th overall in total points despite missing 3.5 games. Finished 6th overall in points per game, despite basically everything going wrong with the Saints last year. I think Kellen Moore, it's at least, I think Kubiak was a fine offensive coordinator, just didn't have much to go with the injuries, both along the offensive line, of course, Carr, everyone else down the stretch. And one of the biggest things is Taysom Hill. I don't think Taysom Hill really plays this year. Taysom Hill was their RB2. He was the guy vulturing Kamara. I think Tyler Shuck is going to dump the ball off a ton, Kamara, and just get the ball in his hands quite a bit. So I think Kamara has really big upside this year, even on a very questionable offense. Let me go to the board, bring it up for you guys. And FK saying, I'm not sure. I've started 1-2-1. Not sure how I feel. Yeah, I'm obviously more bullish with running backs. So I do a lot of like 2 running backs in the first 3. So I probably have more 1-2-1s. I think it's fine. I mean, Gibbs and Jacobs, you have 2 guys with our top 5 RB upside. And of course, Daniels, I mean, it's a similar, you don't have the tight end, but it's kind of similar. Like you have 2 elite running back shots, a receiver who, I don't know if he finishes wide receiver 1, but McConkey can vastly outplay this. I mean, I'm not going to be shocked if he's like wide receiver 3 next year or, after this year. Of course, Jaden is just a stud. So we're both FK and I are coming back up on the clock. So we'll see what he does and then what I do. So yeah, sometimes just taking these upside plays, regardless of the positional build, make the most sense. He goes Addison. That is somebody I would have looked at. Chris Godwin. Yeah, Chris Godwin makes sense. You know, when he got injured, Godwin was a top 5 receiver last year. I think overall, obviously, the addition of Mbuka, he could start slower. So, you know, there's a little concern there, but I think he could be at, you know, he's top 10, especially like from targets per route run and those kind of things. Like if he, you know, the first 5 weeks he's wide receiver 30, but right week 6 on, he's like a top 10. You know, that's what I'm going to care about is my point. And I think he can absolutely pay off this ADP. You know, if that's kind of the outcome we're looking for. So Tim asks, Steve, are there any Chargers tight ends that could be a decent late round pick? I will say I've taken Rondé Gadsden Jr. some, you know, loved him in college, loved the bloodlines. He's absolutely a good receiving tight end. That was a bit more in not just pre-draft, but even the puppy superflex, having that 20th round. Let me make my pick here. I'm going to go back to receiver, take Pearsall again. I like double tapping 49ers. Maybe Purdy will be my quarterback 2, stop at 2 type of thing. But I think likely if there's a tight end on the Chargers that's viable, I think it will probably be Conklin. Disley will be out there, I think, enough snaps, but probably won't get enough targets. Conklin has a chance to get enough targets, but honestly, he kind of needs Gadsden not to be great because if Gadsden just eats into his role, then maybe it is a 3-man tight end room. I'm not taking much of them, to be honest, right now. That's one I want to see how the camp battle plays out. In the 20th round Superflex, I took a couple Conklin, a couple Gadsden, just for a third tight end, but it's not something I typically am doing in these 18-round drafts, even when I have Herbert. We started out the same, but went far off on this one. Yeah, and no, that's the interesting thing is sometimes you're like, oh, I get this, you know, similar round 1-2 combo, or even 1-2, you know, especially if you're like at the front, and it's like I'm always getting, you know, Chase, Higgins, and McBride or something like that. But you could have 10 of those teams, and none of them have, outside of maybe a quarterback overlap, like another overlap player, you know, or maybe just one other overlap player. So with only a couple of them. So yeah, you would be surprised with how quickly these teams get unique, regardless of how you start. Appreciate that, Tim. Yeah, always happy to answer questions and talk ball. I will, you know, as it wears on, I definitely don't want to have a total 0 on Chargers tight ends. So I will have a little Conklin. I will probably, you know, if reports keep going along, Gadsden, have a little bit of him. But yeah, not something I'm going to be overweight on unless something really shifts there. See what FK does. I would have taken Mooney, so that's a fantastic pick. Let's go. Oh, not mentioned it before, not the biggest Brian Robinson fan, but I will take it here. I think a receiver will be there when I get back. Maybe not. Maybe that was the wrong call, but it is partly because I do need more of him. So let's see what this turn here does. If any viable receivers are still there for me. Definitely like Higgins and Pittman a lot. Those were two guys I was considering taking if I didn't take Brian Robinson. This is probably going to be an 8 wide receiver build. That's how I'm looking at it. All right. Well, Cup did fall. I'm going to take the stack here with Keon Coleman. That's what I was hoping for when I made the Brian Robinson pick. So it does come back to me. Did consider Purdy for just second quarterback with the two pieces there. But when you take an elite, I don't always jump at the next quarterback. Yeah, and FK, you nailed it. That's the soul. As much as I really like Higgins, I really like Pittman. Mooney, I think I would have taken regardless and still probably targeted Coleman. But when you took Mooney, I felt pretty confident I could get Coleman on the way back. So that's why I went with Brian Robinson. But I'm very bullish on Mooney. So I'm sitting at 1-3-4-1. Running back. Definitely have an anchor. Theoretically, I think Kamara's a starter. Brian Robinson, I think, is a bit more questionable. But I'm okay. Anytime it's after ADP, and his ADP has fallen a little bit. So I'm getting more okay with it. It's not by no stretch my favorite pick, and I'm a Commanders fan. So we'll see. But I do like getting Kittle here, and I know I only have 4 wide receivers. Hill and Godwin have, bring back to each other. Ricky paired with Kittle, and of course Coleman stacked with Allen. So in that I have a bring back with Saquon. So overall, I like this team so far. No, I don't feel I have any holes. I can kind of take it in any direction. Whether to quarterback, whether to tight end, maybe both. I don't generally like to do both. And so we'll see how things play out. So Purdy goes. He was falling back. That would have been a very interesting. Let's see here. Loveland, that would have been it's a bit of a pull-up. Loveland's been sliding. FK takes May. He at least makes my decision for me because I was very much debating between May or Burden here. Burden is a bring back to my San Francisco pieces. But FK does take May, which is a great pick. And especially seeing Loveland gone, kind of been out of top tier Chicago pieces. You can obviously get Roshan late, but that's my thought on it. But yeah, I don't mind. Had Purdy fallen back, that would have been an easy call for me. 6 running backs in this draft. Oh, I'm guessing you're kind of in the mid-range like we are, so maybe you're a little further ahead. Sounds like a pretty heavy running back build. But at the same time, running backs are where the points are. So if you can, as our guy Nick Bocklage says, win the flex, one of the best ways to do that is with a strong running back room. Do we have anything going on here? I'm just going to take Ramondre for another running back. These quarterbacks would be unstacked for me. Some are more easily backstackable, but Goff, the one issue with Goff is he is not. So let's see what comes back here. 12 picks. So we got a little bit of time. Barkley, Chase Brown, Caleb, Quinchon. Oh, wow, your draft is flying. I guess you're probably just a couple rounds ahead. So yeah, that's going to be a very running back bull room. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to win the flex, and hopefully you can catch up at receiver and the other positions. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, FK. We seem to be on a lot of similar players, and of course, I figured with May, Ramondre was on your radar, but he's just a good pick in this range. He can be a third or fourth running back pretty easily. You feel good about. Should still have a decent role, touchdown role. Josh McDaniels outside of, basically 1 year, he's been a dual, multi-running back guy. I mean, the 1 year they went to the Super Bowl, they had like 4 running backs with 100 carries. Some of that was injury based. I think James White got injured, whatnot. But McDaniels has had no problem mixing up backs before. So as much as I like Henderson, I think Stevenson has, an investment in. He, as long as he doesn't fumble, he could have some decent usage. Let's see what FK does here. It's tight end Jake Ferguson. And these quarterbacks are falling. Don't have stacks. They're not the easiest to backstack. But honestly, I'm not going to care. I'm going to take Herbert. Don't think I did. Underdog. But I'm going to take Herbert there. Honestly, could have gone either with McCarthy or Herbert. QJ at least is a potential stack. Not my favorite guy, but I'll take him potentially. And I need some wide receiver help. So I'm surprised to get the, 15 pick fall on Herbert. So I'll happily take that. I love the Chargers offense. Herbert has sneaky rushing ability himself. And I just think that offense is going to be a lot better. Let's catch up with the chat quick. Wide receivers are Tyreek, DJ Moore, Sutton, Cup, Mims, Jr. So, I mean, probably need some more depth there. But yeah, like you said, not awful. This is Puppy 2. Yeah, I think somebody answered it. Puppy 2. Remember X Burkhead. Yeah, Patriots would shuffle through those running backs. That's for sure. And I am on the clock quickly. Oh my God, JJ McCarthy's still there. That is wild. I'm going to take Jonnu. He's already fallen. I think this is around where his ADP settles. I'd be okay going 2 tight ends here, Kittle and Jonnu. We might tack on a third. Depends on how this draft plays out. Honestly, seeing McCarthy there. So QJ goes ahead of ADP. And then, yeah, McCarthy, I mean, that is a hell of a fall FK gets with McCarthy there. And he did have Addison. So I didn't even pay attention remembering that you had Addison FK. So I'm glad I didn't. I almost snap called him just seeing that kind of fall. Yeah. I get it being a Patriots fan, Tim. Geez, I almost never do 30 quarterbacks with Daniels, but yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. And, look, all these Russian quarterbacks, Allen's not missed a game, but, Hurts has missed time. We see Jackson miss time, and sure, like Jackson's were like season-ending injuries, but as we've seen with Hurts, it can be just a couple weeks. And as I mentioned before, I was saying this a lot with Superflex and Mariota, but that Jaden Daniels, when he took that hit in that Carolina game, hurt his ribs. that easily could have been a 3-week injury. And, having a third quarterback, if that's even during the regular season, weeks 1 through 14, missing three games and maybe 4, the one he leaves early, I mean, you probably want a third quarterback, especially risking having a bye and taking 0. And if some of those overlap with playoff weeks, again, you having a third quarterback can be big. The guy who won it 2 years ago with his unstacked Stroud and Tua, Stroud missed time there. He got that bad concussion in that Jets game. I think he missed week 15 of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe week 16 is one. He wasn't, he didn't do anything going forward, but you didn't know that. So when you get value, I'm never going to question insurance policy. Tua did not fall back to me. I was kind of hoping for Tua. Let's see what FK does. Gino's there. Roshan Johnson. There's some Bears stuff going on. I love Adam Thielen. Could use a 4th or a 6th there. We will go Thielen. I feel good enough at my running backs. I'm taking a 5th, but if I need to wait a round or 2, I'm fine with that. If you took a much, I'd be feeling blue. Would be bourbon time. Oh, I get that. Yeah, and I like I said, I wasn't even paying attention that you had Addison. This is the downside of being in chat and on stream and talking. Disbanded would have cheers to you though. No, I mean, and this is not a knock on Jane Daniels. It's just injuries are a reality, and they can be for any quarterback, but rushing quarterbacks are going to get them more. I think you're just opening yourself up to more hits. I'm on the clock. Roshan came back to me, so luckily that makes my decision easy. But yeah, so it's just one of those things, and I'm obviously for this lineup, I'm hoping it's not Allen, but it could be Allen this year. It could be any of these running quarterbacks. But no, he is the overall change for Washington football with new owner, new GM, new coach, new quarterback, league quarterback. It's quite nice. When the stands fell down, yeah, and Snyder was the absolute worst owner. And like you said here, it's some of the greatest coaches on that 20. Oh yeah, the Shanahan staff, but in general, I mean, Snyder brought in Marty Schottenheimer, Joe Gibbs, round 2, Mike Shanahan. He brought in some big name coaches and just couldn't get it done because he kept interfering with their work. And you look at what Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan developed. I mean, that coaching staff was insane. They also, they found Kirk Cousins, in terms of quarterback value, 4th rounder. Obviously, Brock Purdy now being Mr. Irrelevant. But that's one of the best, late values you'll find out there. And they hit on a lot of other players like Alfred Morris and some other key guys. But they just traded away so many people in the RG3 trade. And yeah, the rumor was, Snyder forced that on them. And then Mike Shanahan said, hey, the other rumor was Mike Shanahan wanted to stick around, but he said, hey, I think I can develop Kirk Cousins. Let's trade Griffin. We can recoup those picks, and I think we can win. And Snyder, snuffed that out. And, the rest is history for teams like the 49ers, the Packers, all these other teams that are the Rams with McVay. I mean, that staff was just unreal. Yeah, their offense is extremely good. That love blocking, beautiful thing to watch. Yep. No, and you could, the term poetry in motion that's the way the Shanahan offense likes to be run, is everyone gets theirs. Like the running back will get theirs, the receivers get theirs, the tight end. and that's why everyone will just contribute to each other's success. So let's see, what am I going to do here? See what FK does. He takes Justice Hill, definitely a guy I like, not on my radar right there. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. I know people say, why do you take a third quarterback? I just kind of laid it out. I don't have Herbert stacked. I do have Rodgers stacked. We'll see if I can get there with Herbert, but I really don't want to tack on a Chargers tight end just to tack on a Chargers tight end. It's kind of the way I look at it. And let's go back to the board. In a huge show tournament like the Puppy, does being a volume drafter influence your quarterback stance? Or you're trying to get as many teams to the playoffs finals rather than building the net onesies? So I generally, and this is actually kind of take this approach in all forms. I think the bigger pods, the playoff pods and the finals, having 3 quarterbacks can help. But I think 3 quarterbacks also help you advance. I'm about to be on my clock. I will make a pick and continue answering this question. Don't need Darnold now. Keenan Allen or Slayton. I already have 2 week 14. I'm going to go. I'll go Darius Slayton. I mean, just a clear starter for me. Keenan Allen would be a value, but I feel like I need a little bit more. I'm taking an 8th receiver. I'm not taking a Chargers tight end. Taking an 8th receiver, but I want a little bit more certainty there. So we'll see. It comes back to me. But my thought is with all these, because basically, and maybe we'll see when the Dalmatian, if they launch Dalmatian, that was 4 of 12 advanced. But basically everything else is 2 of 12 advanced, right? So I look at weeks 1 through 14, weeks 15, week 16, regardless of what the pod size is. These are qualifiers to me. Weeks 1 through 14 is a qualifier. And I typically like the tournaments where I'm at least getting my money back. So it's like no harm, no foul. And so, yes, I want to advance as many teams as possible in general, but definitely in these like larger field things as well, because we don't know what's going to hit week 15. We don't know what's going to hit week 16. And honestly, whether it's a 1 of 5 or a 1 of 10 or a 1 of 12 or the 1 of 16 for week 16 for BBM, we just don't know what's going to hit. So I want as many, as many shots as possible. And so I want as many essentially qualifying tickets as possible to advance. And sure, some of these maybe they're dead on arrival. 2 years ago, I had a pretty good advance rate, but I was very bullish on the Chargers. And I had a lot of Herbert, Keenan Allen. And Herbert goes down in week 14, and they shut him down and Keenan Allen for the rest of the way. And so those teams were just, pretty DOA. But I still wanted those shots. I mean, what if, I didn't know Herbert was going to get hurt week 14. Like that, there's just no way to know. And then they shut down Keenan along with that. So, we just don't know those kind of things. So I want to build my teams to get to the playoffs as much as possible. I don't think it makes me too thin, particularly when like this instance, when I'm spreading out the quarterbacks as I did, getting Herbert at value. I don't think you run the risk too much. Like, is it going to, let me make this last pick and I'll continue answering this question. I need a wide receiver. Ray. I don't take a lot of Elijah Moore. I know like Cody from Loftus-Schneid really pumps him up. I'll take a shot here. It's an 8th receiver. I feel good about the room in general. It is a stack. Why not? So yeah, like to me, I want as many chances as possible. And it's not so much about being thin one way or the other. I just don't know if and I know we've seen 2 quarterback teams win, and we've seen 3 quarterback teams win. We've seen late tight end win. We've seen not really elite tight end win. So that is still kind of interesting. I think it has done okay, but it just hasn't like won one. So yeah, to me, I want the three quarterbacks. It's the most important position. And like I said, even if it's like during the season, and it could be the same with Josh Allen. Like if Josh Allen misses 2 or 3 games, I don't want this team to be sunk because one of those games was week 12 and I'm now taking a 0 at quarterback. Or even if Justin Herbert's playing, I want to have 2 outs for those 2 games, plus Allen's bye week game. And, Allen, for as good as he was last year, had about 5 games under 15 points. One of those being, or 2 of those being blowouts, but it happens. So yeah, for me, quarterbacks score the most points, and while it's one of the deeper positions, so that's why people will wait or only go with 2, etc. To me, it increases my total points ceiling by ensuring that position is fine, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to, poor performance. That's my thought on it, because again, we in my opinion, we just don't know. Like, yes, we draft like we write and we try and stack up the various playoff weeks, particularly week 17, but we just want to make sure that I want to have as many bullets as possible advancing. Why is the quarterback who was 6th in scoring last year and still has 5 offensive weapons going in first 75 picks falling into round 10? Yeah. Excuse me. So you're talking about Brock Purdy. I'm taking it there because all the offensive weapons know. And I think it's because he doesn't have the rushing upside. No, I don't think, wait, he was 6th in scoring last year? I didn't remember that. Yeah, we draft slow. Appreciate you guys. So, but no, and this is, we've talked about before, this quarterback range, as much as I love the elites, the 4 elites who do have this massive rushing upside, it is interesting, especially with the Burrow typically now falling to this, late 60s, early 70s range. Burrow, in his 3 healthy seasons, has finished quarterback 10, 3, and 4. Why can't he do that again? So if he, in 3 and 4 were times with Higgins or Chase missed at least 4 games. So yeah, he can finish right with these guys, even though he's pretty much a passer. We know Mahomes has had that upside in the past, though that feels a little thinner. Obviously, the Knicks bull case, the Baker bull case we saw last year, and now his receivers are more healthy. I know the offensive line issue that we saw today is questionable. Justin Fields obviously is the same kind of rushing upside as the top guys. Kyler Murray, let's not forget, this was now 4 years ago, but he had 10+ rushing touchdowns way back when. Dak Prescott, when healthy, can be a top 5 quarterback. Drake May, when you look at his rushing potential and upside, all the new weapons and offensive line improvements, you can make that case. Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson and offensive upgrades. So Jordan Love was a top 10 quarterback just 2 years ago. So, and I think it was quarterback 6 that year. So there's a lot of like bull cases you can make for these quarterbacks in that, a little bit the Burrow and Mahomes, as I said, but kind of that 8 through 10 range, 8 through 12 range. Even I'm very bullish on Trevor Lawrence. Just he has enough rushing upside, Liam Cohen, the weapons, etc., and Herbert a bit as well. So quarterback is a deep position, but it's also, I don't think having 3 is a hindrance either, just because it's also the most important position. Slayton gets relied on heavily, veteran safety blanket. Yeah, I think Slayton's going to be fine. Who's reliable? You mind letting me know what you think of my team if you have the time? Yeah, this is going to be my last draft of the night, so I'll look over some teams. Let me take a quick drink. Sorry, been talking a lot. Mostly from a draft capital perspective, since I do not usually start off 1-2-1. Let me look at that real quick. So FK Coolers ended up 3-5-8-2. Daniels, May, McCarthy, and we talked about, and I get like Daniels, May stopping at 2 there. And that the other thing too, I'll get more about your team specifically, but as we saw, like an Aaron Rodgers, a Sam Darnold in the 16th, 17th, 18th rounds, Daniel Jones, if you believe he's the starter, they're just going to put up more points than any running back there, any receiver there, any tight end there. They're consistent points, and they just give you such insurance. And even if they only count 2 or 3 times, so are those running backs and receivers that you're taking there. So it's not like you're, unless you hit the perfect Puka Nacua or, Kyron Williams, those guys are typically only going to count a couple times regardless anyways. But back to your team. So 3 quarterbacks, obviously you're extremely, extremely strong there with these 3 guys. And of course, McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell has just been the quarterback whisperer. Gibbs, Jacobs, so you're like double anchor, then waited on running back Javonte, Shipley, Justice Hill. Then let's look at the receiver: McConkey, Flowers, Addison, Diggs, Mooney, Kupp, Noah Brown, Dante Thornton, Ferg, and Henry. Yeah, I definitely like stopping a 2 tight end there, particularly since you did use the 3rd quarterback pick. But I actually think that's the preferable way to do it. I don't mind stopping at 5 running backs. And, I know you're looking more from a player roster construction and draft capital. I think I would probably want a little better 3rd running back because even if those are your anchors, it's of course buys, it's of course ideally, like Diggs, Mooney, and not so much them. Like the interesting thing would be maybe where Kupp was. Like, was there a better running back flipping there and a receiver or Javon? I know it's kind of a dead zone at receiver, so again, not like any major criticism or anything, but typically I like having a 3rd running back that I feel good about. Now, maybe you feel good about Javonte. That to me, I'm just very questionable. Like if this was, even like a Najee Harris or somebody like that, but J.K. Dobbins, I feel better with Dobbins than Javonte. That's me personally, but I understand if you feel confident enough in Javonte. I like both Shipley and Hill a lot. Both will have some usable weeks. Both have a ton of contingent upside. Hill a little less so. Like if Henry goes down, I think it's a committee approach. But overall, I think that running back room is very strong. If Javonte can pay off, it will be excellent. If not, like I think you're fine with Gibbs and Jacobs. I mean, literally 2 guys who could finish in the top 5 running backs. And then receiver. I mean, I love McConkey. I'm not the biggest Zay guy when you don't have Lamar, but if you are and he's at ADP, no issue. I mean, Addison's one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league. Stephon Diggs is the one. I think Mooney, he's a 1,000-yard wide receiver 2 with deep ball, spike week ability. Kupp, again, it's your take on him, but I think those 6 wide receivers are exceedingly strong, and honestly, you probably could have made the case for like a 6th running back over like Dante Thornton, because with those 6 wide receivers, and I know there's some obviously injury risk with a guy like Kupp, but with those 6 wide receivers, I mean, what are the even chances that Noah Brown and Thornton are adding too many weeks? So I probably would have thrown one of those back to the running back mix just from my perspective. Even if you, especially if you're keeping Kupp, those are your first 6, and then whether it's 198 or 211, just some other late round running back flyer, even potentially like partially handcuffing. I'm sure Sanders is gone, but like Lloyd with Jacobs, or if it was the last round pick, Emmanuel Wilson with Jacobs, just for some more depth. That'd be maybe the only kind of nitpick. Is overall, I think it's strong. I think it's definitely a threat. There's no question there. My only concern would be how good it is going to be dependent on Javonte, and you only have two other outs, and again, not really knocking it or anything. I think it's a fine, well-structured team, well-built team. But yeah, when you have 6 receivers in the first 100, how often is, I'd still be taking 7, but is that 8th one necessary? I probably would have thrown that pick at running back just looking at it more, but that's my thought. But a very minor thing. Let me look at Losimo's team real quick. 6-3-7-2. Fields, Caleb, Tua. You got the Tua, but I didn't think Tua would come back to me. McCaffrey, Harvey, Swift, Tootin, Miles Sanders. He stole Miles Sanders there. But yeah, it wouldn't have been available for you. DJ Giddens. So yeah, getting a little extra running back help there. And kind of in the similar ballpark. McCaffrey early. 2 other kind of starters, then kind of some upside swings or usable guys like Sanders. Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Waddle, Reed, Kyle Williams, Palmer. Yeah, Donnie Mitchell. Strong, solid wide receiver room, and then tight end Brock. And then, I love that. Taking Brock, waiting, to the, what was that, 17th round or 16th round, and still getting another starter. That's really, really strong. So, no, that's a good team as well. But, no, fun drafts. And let's see, due to Addison suspension and Diggs maybe not being. So if that's your thought, the Addison suspension and Diggs not being ready week 1, I think Diggs is ready week 1 just from everything I've seen. I know there's that one athletic report, but to me, it wasn't a real report. It was just like, oh, he might miss time. Like receivers coming off an injury like this typically miss the start of the next year, but it wasn't like specific on Diggs. It was just a generalization. But if that is your concern, I get maybe having 8 receivers then. So that makes it a little bit more sense for sure. And the Addison suspension is fair. Davis takes him a lot. In the 18th, he loves him. What player was that? Was that disbanded? Was that Elijah Moore? Peanut Punch, appreciate the insight. A build that gives you more darts late makes sense. Nope. Oh, I'm talking Jared Goff. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, the one thing I'll say about Goff is obviously he ran extremely pure with touchdowns last year. They are generally a run-first team. And he, the 2 biggest beneficiaries of the Monty injury were Gibbs, obviously, and then I think Goff, because I do think he had 3 of, he had some good games throughout, don't get me wrong, but like 3 of his best games were weeks 15, 16, 17. But no, Goff's another one. I think he's a top 10. I didn't remember him being 6. I knew he was top 10 last year. So I think 6 it could be a push for him, but I think he absolutely can be in the top 10 again. Rocket ship is about to take off. What is Jared Goff, Justin? Yeah, that's yep. No, you guys got it. Burrow was pretty much getting all his pass catchers back. He'll be cruising past off defenses. To me, Goff is an absolute steal. No, and Goff has been falling. The one issue is like, I had it in a couple drafts tonight where Goff's falling and he's just, there's no backstack option. I'm not taking that Isaac Tesla. And if I will probably take, like I did with Herbert, take a guy without a stack if he falls enough. I think that adds value, especially if you got boxed out some of your quarterbacks. So yeah, we're making it look easy, especially if Yoshavas develops. I like Steve's takes on, that's why I watch him, but a lot of YouTubers are out on Goff specific players and causes ADP to fall because they have hundreds of people watching them. Yeah, no, I mean, I try to be balanced. And FK, thank you so much. Thank you for the thorough review. Appreciate you so much for the $20 super chat. Love talking ball. Love the support. It really means a lot. It really, does not go unnoticed. We really appreciate it. And and I was happy to review your team and appreciate drafting with you. And sorry for the Ramondre snipe, but I'm glad that I didn't snipe McCarthy from you as well. And we do more early 2 RB starts and puppies, so I just want to develop a good strategy for it. I think you're right that RB6 over Thornton may have been the best. And what I will say, and I know you explained the the Addison dig, and even if you are kind of right on Diggs, I don't think that risk hurts you too much early on. It's just, in fact, more that just goes more to the case of, can an RB cover the flex those weeks? That kind of thing. But no, thank you so much. And thank you. Always happy to help. And thank you again. Elijah Moore. No. And Cody has been on him. I've taken him a couple times. Again, some of those are like super flex puppies. The 20th round would help for sure. I get the case. I mean, it's right now we have a situation with the Bills. Again, top 5 offense. Whatever you think of Kincaid, Cook and the running backs will get theirs. Kincaid and Knox will get theirs. But from a wide receiver perspective, there's Shakir, who's not going to be out there in every snap. There's Coleman, who might be out there in roughly every snap. Palmer theoretically will be out there a lot, but he's also been heavily injured throughout his career. And then I just don't know if Curtis Samuel even makes this team. I mean, probably given that contract, but boy, he did not have much usage last year. So Elijah Moore, when free agency started, I thought Elijah Moore would definitely get something, whether it was a 1 year like De'Ami Brown got 10 million, or something like a Darius Slayton, like 12-ish million a year. And that's kind of what Palmer got. I was sure, because he was one of the youngest receivers out there, and he finally flashed a little bit more late last year. But he didn't. But he did go to a great offense. He's pretty much, his last season's great Dortch this year so far. Well, hopefully he's a lot better than Dortch. I'm not totally sold. I've only sprinkled him in only in Allen builds. Like, I don't think, and I guess you could say in like a Philly bring back type thing, but like I will be in the low percentages unless we see like him massively rise in camp. So I'm with you on that, Disbanded. But in an 8 wide receiver build, I'll take the risk. If he ends up being a stone zero, that was kind of the other reason I went Slayton. I wouldn't, had I taken Keenan Allen there, I would not also take Elijah Moore, because then I'm running the risk of 2 guys just being totally zeros if like Allen retires. Watch Allen goes to Buffalo, and that would have been the right call. Great stuff, Steve. Well, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Yeah, Dortch, not ideal. Can you see Monangai play the Montgomery role for the Bears? Roshan only averaged 2.3 yards per carry last year and looked underwhelming. No, in pre-draft, I was not really in on Roshan. I thought they were going to make a pretty big investment in the running back position. They did not. Even afterwards, I thought Dobbins or Chubb could have been going there, a trade, that type of thing. But they apparently are very high on Monangai. And look, I liked him in college. No passing role, kind of a poor man's version of, the Damian Martinez Scatterboo short area, touchdown type guy. I still have some concerns about Roshan, but I'm taking him now because his ADP, it's not really going up. And 2, I think as I've been saying, I think 2 of the 3 backs for the Bears probably hit value, return some fantasy value. Swift is the most likely, just because he's probably most talented. I think Roshan, but I'm taking Monangai also, just because I want to have some Bears running back exposure. They've totally revamped their offensive line. They get Ben Johnson, who, whether it was Swift and Jamal Williams, Gibbs and Monty, like, he's done really good things with running backs. So I went all 3 pieces to answer your question. But yeah, I'm taking Monangai. I think he's whether it's a 6th RB, or even I have 4 really good RBs and I take him as a 5th that I feel good about. I want to share in him for sure. But I also agree with your point. Roshan last year was not impressive. He did do some okay things in the red zone, but not impressive overall. What happened to Curtis Samuel? Yeah, that one shocked me. Like, Last year, I was definitely higher on Shakir than Samuel, but I had a chunk of Samuel. It was just wild to me. I have a lot of drafting I need to do last week before close. I'm taking a few days off and drafting like crazy. Yeah, and I would keep in mind like BBM will close before the last week. Like I haven't totally tracked like what the rate is going right now, but last year I think it was done what 6 days before the start of the season. Like they were launching other contests, but it was done with days to spare. So just keep that in mind. But there will be other things to draft. So I'm going to be heading on out here. But thank you guys for joining me. Those who watched Jeopardy earlier, you saw it was not my finest hour. So I appreciate you guys jumping in and helping me redeem myself with some fun drafts, asking a lot of questions, having a lot of fun. Really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for helping us out in YouTube. Obviously, like this episode, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We have the Fanspeak Best Ball subscription, Substack, 1 year, $34, $34.99, 1 year. You get everything. We're going to be adding more and more to that. We'll even do some stuff, I'm sure, during the year, as well as we, want to reward our loyal supporters. We'll be doing sub-only shows. We're going to tape our first one this week is like a Q&A. So keep an eye out for that if you are a subscriber. And thank you guys again so much. Let me close out on chat and then we'll get on out of here. Yeah, last few weeks. Fair enough. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you jumping in and asking questions and chatting in. Well, you redeemed yourself. Yeah. Love the shout out. Later, Steve. Thanks again. No problem, Steve. You needed Megan earpiece. That's all. No cheating there. It just did not go well for me. Great stuff as always. See you soon. Appreciate you, FK. See you as well. Elijah Moore has to be the only guy to get 100 targets and less than 100 points. I mean, Wando had to be pretty close there. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate you disbanded. No, thank you guys all so much. I'm gonna end the stream here, but hope everyone has a great night. Keep drafting this puppy. We'll see what else comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if they release something this weekend, just with all the positive feedback. So hopefully there's more out in the streets to draft and yes, reflect what I didn't shout it out what it was, the Dumb and Dumber reference. Totally redeem yourself. So thank you all again. Have a good night, and I will catch you next time.